I want to get real about something every busy business owner and entrepreneur faces: time. No matter if you are balancing a heavy client workload or you are just in the unpredictable existence, which is parenting like me, time feels like it's literally slipping through your fingers, right? If you have ever caught yourself wishing, why can't there be more hours in the day, or that your schedule just worked for you instead of running you, then this episode is for you. Welcome to the Savvy Founder Podcast, where vision meets strategy. Get ready to unlock the power of mindset and entrepreneurship and demystify the art of systemizing your business for success. I'm your host, Janae Reed, an engineer turned master mindset coach and systems expert. Are you ready to transform your business and mindset? Then let's dive in and make your vision a reality right here on the Savvy Founder Podcast. Recently, I was talking with another entrepreneur who's had a similar issue as myself when it came to scheduling. I was telling her how it was kind of hard for me to find the time with just this new phase of parenting because I have a toddler that's on a certain schedule, but then also a baby that's on a different schedule. And so because of that, it seems like the day it starts and then before you know, it seems like it's over. And in my mind, I always think of, okay, there's going to be these little windows of time for me to do this, or maybe I'll just have time to record this one thing. And it just felt like I was really searching for this time and it was not evident, and certain things were staying on the list for longer than I liked. And when we were talking, she was sharing how she was realizing that there was too much freedom in her schedule where anyone could just book at any time. And so essentially her clients were dictating her workflow. And so the time that was being allocated to them was obviously not being allocated towards business development because it was being used up, right, by the clients and the time that they were booking for coaching. And so essentially what was happening is we were both in this place of not really having a structure or a system in place for our time. Does this sound familiar? Does it sound like your day just fills up with whatever shows up and maybe you don't have a lot of time for anything else that's important, just like business development, or honestly, it could even just be for you to catch your breath? But here's what I realized after reflecting on this time squeeze. It's not really about magically finding more hours in the day. It was really about making better use of the time that I already had. So for me, it meant more structure, not necessarily being rigid or strict, but enough to just create pockets of time to be predictable, even if it's really unpredictable. And I'm going to explain that a little bit more because I know it probably sounds like an oxymoron. But for example, one of the things that stood out for me is that time blocking is not necessarily the most feasible in this phase that I'm in, only because I can't really say, oh, okay, at this time every day, I'm going to have this window of time. No one will be up, everyone will be sleeping. That just doesn't exist. And so something that is really helpful for me and what I'm implementing is actually separating my business development task into two buckets. One bucket being actions I can do even when the kids are up, meaning that it doesn't really require quiet time. It doesn't require silence. They can be around doing their thing. Everyone's just hanging out. But then also having business tasks that are essentially those that are for those quiet times, and to make sure that I always have something prepared for when those quiet pockets of time show up. And so by doing that and by having these two lists for myself, what it did is it allowed me to actually make sure that I'm always able to seize the opportunity that's in front of me. And even if that means that there's not really quiet time that day, I'm able to get something else done. So things are always moving forward, which for me felt like a win, because I started to notice that if I was feeling this feeling of, oh, I have these things to get done, but they're not getting done yet, it really was because there was something I had planned that was too rigid for what was actually going on. And having these two buckets has been so helpful, and it's made me feel lighter and like I have more space in my day, because I know, oh, okay, it doesn't really matter if everything goes to plan or it doesn't go to plan. I have these two things that I can pull from. And if that great opportunity presents itself, I can always lean into that. And then also making sure to consistently have a plan done in advance. Now, this year I did something completely different, and I don't know if I've shared this on here yet, but in December, I actually made a plan for the entire year. meaning I broke it down by quarters, specific goals for every quarter, but then also by the month. And I even break it down into which half of the month am I doing things on, which is really helpful because I know sometimes in the day-to-day of just business, it can feel like, oh, I'm handling all the things that are urgent. But then when you look at what your initial goal was for that time, you're not really on track. And so having this to look at has really helped me too, because I know what I'm preparing for. It's not random. It's not up to that day. There's actually structure in place. And it's almost like I'm fitting a piece of the puzzle into the bigger puzzle. So that has really helped me with just how I'm approaching my time going forward. Now, I want to take the example back to my friend. So just like the kids, the clients were dictating her schedule, right? So for me, it was family life. For her, it was clients. And either way, no matter which bucket you see yourself in more, it was chaotic, right? Which led to not much being done in terms of business development. So not knowing when those pockets of times would exist and not having a plan for those slots of time. And so after we were talking and I was telling her about what I was planning on doing and things like that, we had this aha where it brings this thing of where are you leaking time and money? So while there was availability for clients, there was not really a system of when those times should be made available so that she had certain times blocked that were just for her business development. And I think that's actually something that people who do a lot of one-to-one client work tend to miss out on a lot. A lot of times there's a increase in effort to get clients, but then once you're delivering to those clients, it's almost like those clients consume so much of your time that you're not actually able to make sure that you are continuing to grow your business, continuing to develop your business, so that you also have a stream of clients coming after that, regardless of if they all renew or not. Like just making sure you're consistently showing up, getting new people into your world, right? And so one of the lessons learned on that side of things was to limit your availability, but do it strategically. So yes, there's a certain amount of time that needs to be available just for coaching people, but also making sure, hey, does this actually align with how you are designing your life? Are there breaks booked in? Have you freed up your nighttime if that's a time that you like to work? Is it in a time when you are the most alert? Are you able to actually just go outside and take a breath of fresh air? To make sure that if you are in that season of heavy workload, that you're not risking burnout and you have more focus on being able to grow your business. And then similar to me, actually having a plan for those different blocked times. So actually giving it a role. Something that comes to mind as I say that is I've heard a lot of financial advisors say things like, make sure you give every dollar a task, like they have a role before you ever get it. And this is essentially the same principle, but applied to your time. Does your time have a role? And that's not to say the mission is to squeeze everything in your day, because I believe that you should also have space, but I also know how easy it is for space that you have available, if it feels like you have an abundance of time, for that to be filled with tasks that honestly could get done in a shorter amount of time. That's actually one of the benefits I feel like of this season of my life is I'm really learning how efficient I'm able to be with my time, because when you have a crunch on your time, you realize how much of the time that you normally allocate to your task is actually spent overthinking or looking at a blank screen or looking at a screen that's really busy, but you're blanked out, right? And so either way, no matter which side it comes on, just making sure that your time has a role. And so with that, I know that this can sound like a lot, especially if you're already stretched thin, but trust me, just making these small changes add up, because these are what I would call like loose boundaries. Like they're not about restriction, but it's really about you creating freedom for you to focus, for you to create, and for you to grow, more importantly, without burning out. It's like telling your business, hey, I'm here to win, but on my terms, right? This is what it's going to look like. This is a structure that we are going to use to flow. I always have held on to this analogy of literally the water running down or like through a river, right? Where it's like, yeah, you have the banks, which is essentially the structure, but within that structure, you're able to flow. So the water is not flowing thinking, did I go too far? Because that's what the shoulder's for, right? That's what the edge is for. And when you have edges, when you have structure in place, it's so much easier for you to just flow with that time. That being said, definitely make sure that the tasks that you're using are similar to each other. So if it's a creation time, then let it be creation. If it's writing, then have other writing tasks. If it's editing, then do things like that together. That will just help with you not, having so much time lost just to kind of like getting your brain switched and thinking in a different way. But if this episode hits home, I've got something for you. You can access my free 15-minute system audit. The link will be in the show notes, and it's a quick way to spot where you're leaking your time, energy, and potentially even money in your business so that you can find your growth opportunities and where time might not be working for you. But if you're someone who wants to bounce ideas off of someone, because I know everyone has blind spots that other people just can't see, or to help you design a schedule that feels good and to know what systems would benefit you and your business based on where you're at right now and the goals that you have, you can always book a call with me and we will create a plan that fits your unique life and business.